After 25 years as a cardiologist, I've learned something that might surprise you. Having treated over 15,000 heart patients, I've seen patterns emerge that most people never hear about. The heart and the kidneys are best friends. What affects one almost always affects the other. And over the years, I've had many conversations with my nephrology colleagues, that's kidney specialists, about foods that both of us see causing problems for our patients. A few years ago, a patient named Walter came to see me. 71 years old, retired electrician. Great sense of humor. He said, "Doc, I thought I was eating healthy. Salads every day. Cut out the red meat. Drinking those green smoothies my daughter makes me." And yet, his kidney function had been declining for 3 years. What Walter didn't know, and what I want to share with you today, is that some foods we assume are harmless or even healthy can actually deserve a closer look when it comes to kidney health. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to inform you. Because once you understand which foods merit your attention and why, you can make thoughtful choices that support both your heart and your kidneys for years to come. Let me walk you through 10 foods to consider more carefully. And stick around until the end, because number 1 genuinely surprised me when I first learned about it, even after 2 decades of practice. Before we begin, I want to be clear about something. This information is meant to complement your health care, not replace it. If you're already working with a doctor or a nephrologist, pronounced nephrologist, for kidney concerns, please keep doing that. Don't make major dietary changes without discussing them with your care team first. This is especially true if you're on medications. What I'm sharing today is educational. Think of it as giving you better questions to ask at your next appointment. All right, let's get into it. Number 10. Highly processed packaged foods. Think canned soups, frozen dinners, fast food meals. Here's an analogy I use with my patients. Imagine your kidneys are like a water filtration plant. They're constantly processing, cleaning, balancing. They do an incredible job, handling about 50 gallons of blood every single day. But if the water coming in is full of extra minerals and chemicals, the plant has to work overtime, day after day, year after year. And over time, that extra workload can take a toll on even the most efficient system. That's what happens with heavily processed foods. They're often loaded with sodium, but without the potassium that helps balance it. Now, I want to be clear here. Salt itself isn't the enemy. Your body needs sodium. You can absolutely use salt on real, whole foods. The concern is processed foods that give you salt without the balancing minerals. That creates extra work for your kidneys. Over time, it can contribute to fluid retention and blood pressure changes. Walter, my patient with the green smoothies, he was also eating canned soup for lunch almost every day. Low fat, he told me proudly. But the sodium content was through the roof. Small change, big difference. Number 9. Coffee creamers. This one catches people off guard. You'd think coffee creamer is just, well, cream. But most commercial coffee creamers contain no cream at all. They're made with ingredients like titanium dioxide, various emulsifiers, artificial flavors, and colors. When you look at the ingredient list, it can read more like a chemistry experiment than a food product. Think of it like this. Your kidney filters are delicate membranes, almost like coffee filters. And some of these artificial compounds can, over time, affect how those filters work. Some research suggests that long-term use of certain additives may contribute to protein appearing in the urine. This can be an early sign of kidney stress. I'm not saying you can never use coffee creamer, but if you're having 3 or 4 cups a day with artificial creamer, it might be something to reconsider. Maybe try switching to real cream, or even just black coffee. I actually started drinking my coffee black a few years ago. Not going to lie, it took about 2 weeks to adjust, but now I prefer it. Sometimes the simple option is the better one. Number 8. Alcohol in excess. Notice I said in excess. I'm not here to tell you that you can never have a glass of wine, but alcohol does create extra work for your kidneys in a few ways, and understanding the mechanism helps explain why moderation matters so much for kidney health specifically. First, it's dehydrating. Your kidneys need adequate fluid to do their filtering work efficiently. When you're dehydrated, they have to work harder with less. Second, alcohol metabolism produces something called uric acid. Think of uric acid as tiny crystals with rough edges. When they pass through delicate kidney tissue, they can be abrasive. These crystals can also contribute to kidney stone formation over time. Third, and this is important, it gets worse when you combine alcohol with sugary mixers, artificial sweeteners, or other additives. A glass of wine with dinner is different from several cocktails loaded with syrups and artificial ingredients. Moderation and simplicity make a real difference here. Number 7. Green smoothies in certain situations. Now this one needs some context, because I know green smoothies have a health halo around them, and for many people, they're perfectly fine. But certain ingredients, spinach, almonds, beets, are very high in something called oxalates, pronounced oxalates. These compounds can form crystals and contribute to kidney stones in some individuals. Here's what I've observed over the years. It's not the spinach itself that's the problem. It's the amount, combined with how your particular body handles oxalates. Some people have gut bacteria that break down oxalates efficiently. Some people have plenty of calcium and magnesium in their diet. These minerals bind to oxalates before they become problematic. But other people, especially those who might have digestive issues, are dehydrated, or are constipated regularly, may accumulate oxalates more easily. My patient Walter, he was drinking a spinach-heavy smoothie every single morning. For him specifically, pulling back on the spinach and adding more variety made a noticeable difference. If you love green smoothies, you don't necessarily need to give them up. But consider rotating your greens. Use kale sometimes, Swiss chard other times. And make sure you're staying well hydrated. Number 6. Artificial sweeteners. This is where I have to be direct with you. 3 artificial sweeteners in particular, aspartame, sucralose, and acesulfame potassium, deserve careful consideration when it comes to kidney health. These compounds are in thousands of products: diet sodas, sugar-free snacks, protein powders, chewing gum. Let me give you an analogy. Your kidneys have tiny tubules, like a network of incredibly fine pipes. They're responsible for filtering and reabsorbing in a very precise way. Some research suggests these artificial compounds may affect how those tubules function. They may also accumulate in kidney tissue over time. I'm not saying one piece of sugar-free gum will harm you, but daily consumption of multiple artificially sweetened products for years? That's a different conversation. When my patients ask me what to drink instead, I tell them water, sparkling water, herbal tea, Coffee in moderation. Simple options that don't require your kidneys to process synthetic compounds. Number 5. Heavily processed meats. I want to address a common misconception here. You may have heard that protein is bad for kidneys. That's an oversimplification. Natural protein from real meat, consumed in reasonable amounts, is not the enemy for most people. Your kidneys are designed to handle the nitrogen waste that comes from protein metabolism. The issue is processed meats. Hot dogs, certain deli meats, fast food patties, bacon from conventional sources. These often contain phosphate preservatives, nitrates, and compounds that form during high-heat processing. Think of it like this. Natural meat is like clean fuel for your body. Heavily processed meat is like fuel mixed with additives that leave residue in your engine. Over time, that residue can contribute to inflammation and stress on kidney tissue. This doesn't mean you can never have bacon again, but choosing less processed options and not making processed meats a daily habit can make a real difference. Number 4. Phosphate-heavy processed foods. You might not have heard much about phosphates, so let me explain. Phosphate is a mineral that's naturally present in many foods. It's important for bone health. That's fine. The concern is inorganic phosphates used as preservatives and additives in processed foods. You'll find them in processed cheese products, certain sodas, and frozen meals. Here's the key difference. Natural phosphates from whole foods are absorbed at about 30 to 40%. Your body has evolved to handle that amount. But these inorganic phosphate additives are absorbed at up to 90%. That's a dramatically higher burden on your kidneys to manage. Over time, excess phosphate can accumulate in kidney tissue and blood vessels. This can contribute to a gradual hardening or calcification. The practical takeaway? Read ingredient labels. If you see words like phosphate or phosphoric acid showing up frequently in your regular foods, that's something to be aware of. Number 3. Over-the-counter pain relievers, specifically NSAIDs. I know this isn't technically a food, but I had to include it because so many people use these regularly, and most don't understand the kidney implications. NSAIDs stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, ibuprofen, naproxen, and similar medications. Here's what many people don't realize. Your kidneys receive about 20% of all the blood your heart pumps out. That's remarkable, considering they're only about 1% of your body weight. They need that blood flow to do their filtering work. NSAIDs can reduce blood flow to the kidneys. Now your kidneys are trying to do the same amount of work with less oxygen and fewer resources. Occasional use when you really need it is one thing, but daily or frequent use for chronic pain? That deserves a conversation with your doctor about alternatives. If you're taking NSAIDs regularly, please mention it at your next appointment. There may be other options that are gentler on your kidneys. Number 2. Industrial seed oils. This is one that's gained more attention in recent years, and for good reason. When I say seed oils, I'm referring to highly processed vegetable oils, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, and similar products. Here's the issue. It's not that the original seeds or grains are terrible. It's the processing. These oils are extracted using high heat, high pressure, and chemical solvents. That processing can create oxidized compounds and something called aldehydes, pronounced aldehydes. Think of oxidation like rust forming on metal. You wouldn't want rust in your bloodstream, and aldehydes can be stressful for delicate kidney tissue over time. The alternative? Olive oil avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, or ghee. These are processed more gently and don't carry the same concerns. When you eat out, you're probably getting seed oils. That's hard to avoid completely. But what you use at home, what you control, that's where you can make better choices. Number 1. Sugar, especially fructose. This is the one that surprised me most when I really dug into the research years ago. We tend to think of sugar as bad for blood sugar, bad for weight, bad for teeth. All true. But the kidney connection is something many people aren't aware of. Here's what happens. Fructose, which makes up half of regular table sugar, can only be processed by your liver. High fructose corn syrup and agave have even higher percentages of fructose. When your liver handles fructose, it uses up something called ATP, which is your cellular energy currency. As ATP breaks down, it produces uric acid as a byproduct. Yes, sugar, which contains no protein at all, can raise uric acid levels significantly. And remember those tiny crystals I mentioned earlier with alcohol? The same thing happens here. These microscopic crystals are hard on kidney tissue. They contribute to stones. They cause gradual wear over time. This doesn't mean you can never eat anything sweet. A piece of fruit, which has fiber and nutrients alongside the fructose, is very different from a soda or a flavored coffee drink with 40 grams of added sugar. The dose matters. The form matters. And awareness matters most of all. Let me tell you what happened with Walter. After our conversation about these foods, he made some changes. Not drastic ones, gradual ones. He switched from canned soup to homemade, swapped his artificial coffee creamer for real cream, started varying his smoothie ingredients instead of loading up on spinach every day, cut back on the diet sodas he'd been drinking for years. About 8 months later, his kidney function numbers had stabilized. His nephrologist was pleased. And Walter told me, "Doc, I didn't realize how many of these things I was consuming without thinking." That's what I want for you. Not fear, not perfection, just awareness. Another patient, a woman named Dorothy, 74, came to me worried because her mother had kidney problems. She was scared of the same fate. We went through her diet together. She was doing many things right, but she was also using ibuprofen almost daily for arthritis pain. And she was drinking 3 diet sodas every afternoon. Small changes in those 2 areas, combined with working with a rheumatologist on alternative pain management, made a meaningful difference for her. These aren't miracle stories. They're real stories of real people paying attention and making thoughtful adjustments. Before I wrap up, I want to share some important warning signs. If you experience any of the following, please contact your healthcare provider or seek medical attention. Significant swelling in your legs, ankles, or around your eyes. Blood in your urine, or urine that appears very dark or foamy. Severe fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. Difficulty breathing that's new or worsening. A significant decrease in how much you're urinating. These can be signs that your kidneys need attention right away. And if you're already managing a kidney condition, or if you're on medications for blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease, please talk to your doctor before making major dietary changes based on this or any video. This information is meant to help you ask better questions and be more aware. It's not a substitute for personalized medical care. So let me bring this together. Your kidneys are remarkable organs. They filter your entire blood supply multiple times every day, balancing minerals, removing waste, regulating blood pressure. The foods on this list aren't things to panic about. They're things to be mindful of. Small, consistent choices add up. Switching from processed to whole foods when you can. Choosing real ingredients over artificial ones. Staying hydrated. Working with your healthcare team. That's how you support these hard-working organs for the long haul. I've been practicing medicine for 25 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The body wants to heal. It wants to function well. Our job is to give it what it needs and limit what gets in the way. I hope this has been helpful. Not scary, not overwhelming, just useful information you can take with you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I genuinely appreciate it. If you found this valuable and want to see more content like this, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel. It helps me reach more people who might benefit from this information. And if you know someone who's been thinking about kidney health, or who consumes a lot of the foods we talked about today, consider sharing this with them. Sometimes the right information at the right time makes all the difference. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.